OMNI, aka TDH. This show is all about the events that occurred today and years past, both recognized by actual historians, but mainly things that we personally find intriguing enough for us to bring to you. The sources of this information come from the smart device application Today in History. What happened today in history?
Historical calendar.
Muffin. And he's muted. Oh. What's the third source, Muffin?
Sorry, I'm doing a lot of things.
Okay.
OnThisDay.com, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
For links to those sources, the music, and anything else we gather throughout the show, check the description. Anyway, I am A.O. Xander.
Lunk.
And the Muffin Man.
Yep. Today is Moon's Day, also known as Monday, March 14th, 2022. As per usual, Mr. Lunk.
Yes. 1074, the Battle of Moro Rod. Dukes Geza and Landaras defeat their cousin Solomon, king of Hungary, forcing him to flee the Hungary western borderland.
In 1590, during the Battle of Ivry, Henry of Navarre and the Huguenots defeated the forces of the Catholic League under Charles, Duke of Mayenne, during the French Wars of Religion.
Wars of religion never end well.
Oh. Be them crusades, jihads, or whatever else in between. What's the word for religious war for the Jews? Because the Christians have crusades, the Muslims or the Arabs, whatever, have the jihad. But what do the Jews have?
Defense.
I don't know.
There's defense. They never attack. They're always the offended. They're always the offenders.
More or less.
They make themselves like fucking victims.
Yeah. Who wants 1647 here?
I think 1647.
Alright.
Estimates that they turn. 1647, the 30 Years' War. Bavaria, Cologne, France, and Sweden signed the Truce of Ulm.
What is the Truce of Ulm? Let me look that up real quick. The Truce of Ulm, this truce was developed after France and Sweden invaded Bavaria during the 30 Years' War, but what does it do? Let's see here. Both invading nations forced Maximilian I, Elector of Bavaria, to conclude the truce and renounce his alliance with Emperor Ferdinand III. However, Maximilian broke the truce of September 14th and returned to his alliance with Ferdinand. This doesn't have a lot of meat on it, so there's not a lot of substantial things with this truce, but I'll still post it in the underbar for anyone interested. Moving on up to 1663, according to his own account, Otto von Guericke completed his book Experimenta Nova ut Vocantur Magdi Berkegia di Vacu Sapadio, detailing his experiments on vacuum and his discovery of electrostatic propulsion. Oh, wow. Science, science, science. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Muffin, if you want to jump in with anything, you're free. You're more than welcome to. I know you're busy with stuff right now, but yeah. Who wants 1674?
I think 1674. 1674, Third Anglo-Dutch War, the Battle of Ronus von result in the Dutch East India Company ship Wapen von Rotterdam being captured with a death total of about 300 Dutch crew and sailors.
Soldiers, yeah. That's a lot of people. Moving on up to 1757, Admiral Sir John Byng was executed by firing squad aboard HMS Monarch for breach of the Articles of War. What were the Articles of War? Let me look that up real quick. Did I add that? I did add that, okay. The Articles of War are a set of regulations drawn up to govern the conduct of a country's military and naval forces. The first known usage of the phrase is in Robert Monroe's 1637 work, His Expedition with the Worthy Scots Regiment, called Mackeys Regiment, etc., and can be used to refer to military law in general. So I'm going to add this to the underbar because this has a lot of stuff on it. While I'm doing that, who wants 1780 here?
1780, the American Revolutionary War, Spanish forces captured Fort Charlotte in Mobile, Alabama, the last British frontier post capable of threatening New Orleans.
Ooh, look at that. 1794, just 14 years after that, Eli Whitney was granted a patent for the cotton gin, which, all it did was expedite slavery even more, unfortunately. So, yep. Who wants 1885? I'll take it. 1885, The Mikado, a light opera by W.S. Gilbert and Arthur Sullivan, received its first public performance at the Savoy Theatre in London. Huh. I have to
So
go
you
see
said sad boy for a second.
Yeah. Sad
I
boy.
thought you said sad boy.
The Sad Boy Theater. Well, there is comedy and then there's tragedy. Those are the two aspects of theater. Dad's home. Hold on a second. Who wants 1900 here?
Muffin, you can take 1900.
Perfect. 1900, the Golden Standard Act is ratified, placing the United States currency on the gold standard.
We got to go back to that. We got to get off of this damn U.S. dollar being its own value. All this, cryptocurrencies, all this, petroleum dollars, I've been on this rant before. So, moving on up one more year, in 1901, Utah Governor Herbert Manning Wells vetoed a bill that would have eased restriction on polygamy. Good. We don't need polygamy.
Oh. Why not?
Use my mind, will you?
Pick your mate. Everybody gets one.
Play that song again.
Muffin, you want to take 1903?
Sure. In 1903, Pelican Island National Wildlife Refuge, the first national wildlife refuge in the U.S., is established by President Theodore Roosevelt.
Nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
In 1920, in the second... Sorry?
And I bet he wanted to fight anyone who opposed.
Just like how Elon Musk wants to fight, we were just talking about this, what's his face, Putin.
Man, I'm sorry, Musk, but he was former KGB.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't put it past Elon to have an Iron Man suit, knowing him. I mean, the man sold flamethrowers. He's a madman. He's literally like that one supervillain from The Simpsons.
Okay.
Moving on up to 1920, Hank Scorpio, that's the name. In the second of the 1920 Schleswig plebiscites, about 80% of the population in Zone 2 voted to remain part of Weimar Germany. Zone 2, that sounds like Hunger Games stuff. Or
yeah.
Is it this, or what's the Hunger Games salute? This, or?
I think it's district.
Zone, district, whatever. Who wants 1926 here?
The Buff can do it.
Yeah.
Alright, 1926. The El Barilla train accident in Costa Rica kills the 248 people and wounds. Oh my god, 10 twist. And wounded another 93 people when a train falls off a bridge over Rio Varela between Heredia and Tibias? Tibias? Tibas, whatever.
Yeah. Tibas. If it's anything like E, like Pokemon, Tibas. Because the little dash above the A. I don't know how to pronounce these special things, except for the N. Nya. Like the Spanish N. Stuff. Jumping on up to 1931, Alam Ara, Indian's first talking film, was released. Cool. Really cool.
So fucking.
What happened 8 years later, Mr. Lunk?
And let's see.
1939.
Yep.
1939, Slovakia declares independence under German pressure. You will declare independence, or you should get free showers.
Yeah, that's odd. Like, being forced to declare independence. Isn't that what people want generally? Independence. Yeah.
People have different ways.
Yeah. 3 years later, in 1942, Ann Miller became the first American or U.S. patient to be treated with penicillin under the care of Orvan Hess and John Bumstead.
I don't want to be a part of that.
What?
I hate to say it, but
What?
being the first person of the vaccine or whatever the case may be.
Oh yeah, well yeah, any testing, of drugs, yeah, it's always.
Oh, God.
I honestly, for a while, I seriously did consider being a drug tester. Like, how people get paid to test these drugs, and
Yeah.
then they get weird ass side effects and whatnot. I seriously did consider doing that because, in California, people like me can't get a job. So, yeah. Who wants 1943 here?
Oh, this one is a little spicy.
Take
I
it
can
away.
take it.
Yeah.
1943, the Holocaust, the liquidation of the Krakow ghetto is completed.
Yeah, it started yesterday in 1943 when they started liquidating, right? Was it the Krakow, right?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Why don't you tell us about 45?
1945, the RAF, or Royal Air Force, dropped a Grand Slam bomb in action for the first time on a railway viaduct near Baileyville, Germany. Wow. They did a Grand Slam.
The Grand Slam bomb, medium capacity, 22,000 pound, was an earthquake bomb used by the Royal Air Force (RAF) Bomber Command against German targets towards the end of the Second World War. The bomb was originally called Tallboy Large until the term Tallboy got into the press and the code name was replaced by Grand Slam. But it was a bomb designed to cause little earthquakes. It looked like. That's a big bomb. Holy shit, dude! I'm looking at a picture of it right now. That's huge.
Dude, I'm glad you named it the Grand Slam, because that is grand.
Yeah, certainly slams, tell you that much.
It's
Moving
a
on.
grand science.
Yep. 6 years later, in 1951, during the Korean War, United Nations troops recaptured Seoul for the second time. We got our asses handed to us in Korea. Well, not as bad as Vietnam, but still.
No, we got our asses handed to us because China had to help them.
Yeah, that is true.
If it wouldn't have been for that, it would have been a victory.
Yep. We should have listened to Douglas MacArthur. Just nuke China, when we had the chance. Now look where we're at, Jumping on up to 1961, a mere 10 years later, also known as a decade, USAF B-2 bomber crashed near Yuba City, California, while it's carrying nuclear weapons. Ooh, not good.
You want to get yourself freaking radiation poisoning?
I know, right? Well, I forgot the term, but there's somewhere 13 unaccounted for missing nuclear weapons known.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I forgot the term, though.
Broken Arrow.
Yes, thank you. Broken Arrow. I knew I had you around here for a reason. Who wants 1964 here?
I could take it. 1964, Jack Ruby is convicted of killing Harvey Oswald, the assumed assassination of John F. Kennedy.
And see, that sparked a whole conspiracy because, the Zapruder film, the grassy knoll, Lee Harvey Oswald, and then he was the person who killed Kennedy, but then somebody killed him. So was that a silencing thing? Was he in on the whole conspiracy? And this is after Kennedy refused, on top of multiple things, he refused to do a false flag attack to validate a U.S. invasion of Cuba prior to the Cuban Missile Crisis or during that time period area. So there was a lot of shady things and stuff that happened. So Anyway, 3 years later, in 1967, the body of U.S. President John F. Kennedy was moved to a permanent burial place in Arlington National Cemetery. That's interesting. Like that's a little weird. Just 3 years later, on the exact same date, two different things about Kennedy. So. Who wants 72 here?
I'll take. Actually, yeah, I will take 72. In 1972, Sterling Airways Flight 296 crashes near Kalba, United Arab Emirates. While on approach to Dubai International Airport, killing 112 people. That's horrible.
That's unfortunate. 6 years later, in 1978, the Israel Defense Forces launched Operation Litani, a 7-day campaign to invade and occupy southern Lebanon. Israel needs to fuck off.
See? Defend. That's their plan. You call it defend.
Yeah, they call it the Defense Force, even though they offended.
Attack.
Yep. 2 years later, in 1980, LOT Flight 7 crashed during final approach near Warsaw, Poland, causing the deaths of 87 people, including a 14-man American boxing team. Oof. Now, what does LOT stand for? LOT. What is LOT? It's not telling me. I can't seem to. Well, what does LOT stand for? Polish Airlines. It stands for Polski Linie Lotnicze, which is LOT for whatever reason. Anyway, jumping on up to 1982, the South African government bombed the headquarters of the African National Congress in London. Wow. Wow, that's
Yeah.
Man. Let's keep a canter going. So, like, I go, you go, then Muffin, and we just do that unless Muffin can't. So,
Okay.
why don't you take 88 here?
In 1988, in the Johnson South Reef skirmish, Chinese forces defeat the enemy's forces in a altercation over control of one of the Partly Islands.
Muffin, you there? Can you take 95, or are you preoccupied with stuff?
So 95.
Yeah.
The Norman Thurgard becomes the first American astronaut to ride the space on board on the Russian launch vehicle.
Oh, man. Interesting. And then, what was it, 10 years later, our space program shut down, so not only did he become the first, but he paved the way for what inevitably the only way we can get into space. And now we have an astronaut stuck up in the ISS. I mentioned that yesterday. I was watching Salty Cracker, and we have a U.S. astronaut stuck up in the International Space Station, and there's no way we can bring him home. We rely on Russia or Elon Musk, and Brandon, is pissed off Musk here, and so as I said before, this poor guy up in the ISS might become the first casualty of war in space for the humans. That's incredible. We're living in a time like that. Jumping on up to 2006, the 2006 Chadian coup d'etat attempt ended in a failure. Okay. Mr. Lunk?
Yes.
2007?
In 2007, the Nigerian violence in Nigeria, West Bengal, results in the deaths of at least 14 people.
Violence is always never the answer.
Wireless is usually the answer.
Oh, sorry.
No
Never
worries.
mind, I quoted Warhol. Wireless is usually the answer.
I can take the next one. Sorry about that.
All right, no worries, dude.
What year you guys are on?
2008.
2008. All right. A series of riots in 2008 and also protest demonstrations erupted in Lhasa, whatever, and subsequently spread elsewhere in Tibet.
Dang. In 2017, it appears to be 9 years later, a naming ceremony for the chemical element nihonium took place in Tokyo with the Crown Prince Naruhito in attendance. Okay.
Nice.
That's a new element.
Also, in 2019, Cyclone Idai makes landfall near Bermuda, Mozambique, causing devastating floods and over 1,000 deaths.
Jeez.
Yes, cyclones are nothing to play with.
Yeah.
This is hurricanes in different worlds.
Yep. Hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, mudslides, landslides, floods, tsunamis, typhoons. Just so much disaster already in the world to deal with. And then humans come along and do their thing. So.
No. Never mind. I think a cyclone's a tornado.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is a cyclone a tornado? When looking at different storms, especially those with rotating winds, it can be hard to know the difference between them. However, the key difference between a tornado and a cyclone is where and why it forms. A cyclone forms over water, while a tornado forms over land. Okay, so they're a water spout. Out here in California, we have fire tornadoes. Whoopee!
Fucking awesome. I mean, awesome.
We literally live in hell. It's literally hell over here. Anyway, before we get into person deaths, any articles, spark any interest among you guys?
The Pelican Island, and also the bill for polygamy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, they might as well just get on with it because pretty much people cheat.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we cater to the lowest common denominator, then we're just going to end up, back in caves going ugh ugh and hitting women over the head and dragging them into our caves by their hair like we did in our ancestry. We got to have standards,
No.
You're right. I hate being a human. I don't want to associate myself with a species. Anyway, for me, I'd have to say like the gold standard thing in 1900. That's pretty interesting, as well as the 1995, the first U.S. astronaut to ride to space aboard a Russian launch vehicle. So, what about you, Muffin? Any articles that you interested?
The Pelican Island National Refuge, Wildlife Refuge, the first one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Didn't recognize.
Yeah. Oh, also Israel attacking people. Forgot about that one.
That's
Trying
the
to
fifth.
take over Lebanon.
Yeah, that's the fifth.
Yep. Moving on into bursts. Buffett, why don't you start us off? 1638.
Oh, mine's all flop-sided. Oh, wait, hold up. Mine's all flop-sided. 1 second.
While he's fixing that, Lunk, why don't you take it?
Oh, shit. The first death?
Birth, 1638.
Remember?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Wait, all the way. Hold up.
Okay,
1638. Johann Georg Gitchel. German mystic.
1836, Isabella Beeton, English author of Mrs. Beeton's Book of Household Management. I need to read that. Something fierce. 1854, somebody?
1860.
John? Oh,
Yeah, go ahead. You can continue.
okay. Sorry about that. In 1854, John Lane, the English publisher who co-founded the Bodley Head.
And what is the Bodley Head? As soon as, come on. Why is Google lagging? Why do you lag? There we go. The Baldley Head is an English publishing house founded in 1887 and existing as an independent entity until the 1970s. The name was used as an imprint of Random House children's books from 1987 to 2008. In April 2008, it was revived as an adult nonfiction imprint within Random House's CCV division. So it looks to be like a watermark of sorts. Or it used to be like a thing, and then it just went to a watermark. I don't know. I'm adding this to the underbar anyway, if anybody wants to look more into it. 1874, we have Anton Philips, a Dutch businessman who co-founded Philips Electronics.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. Also, in 1874, we have Albert Einstein, German U.S. physicist, engineer, and academic.
I think it was in 1879.
Oh, 1879.
Yeah. And wow, Albert Einstein, born today. Big news.
In 1887, we have Sylvia Beach, a U.S.-French bookseller and publisher who founded Shakespeare and Company.
Interesting. 1899, we have K.C. Irving, a Canadian businessman who founded Irving Oil.
Yep.
Lunk? Yeah. Also, in 1908, Philip Conrad Vincent, English engineer and businessman who founded Vincent Motorcycles.
1914, we have Lee Petty, a U.S. race car driver and businessman who founded Petty Enterprises. Man, that sounds pretty petty to me.
Yeah. Also, in 1920, Hank Ketchum, U.S. author and cartoonist who created Dennis the Menace.
Yep. What was the, Mr. Wilson? Mr. Wilson! Poor Mr. Wilson. 1921, we have S. Truett Cathy, a U.S. businessman who founded Chick-fil-A.
Yep.
Okay.
Really religious, too.
Yeah, they are, man. Like, they actually...
That's why they're closed on Sundays.
Yeah. And they publicly denounce homosexuality, and they actively, like, donate to, like, hate, organizations, and stuff. It's awful. Like...
Well, not to right-wingers who love all they shit.
I've never had a Chick-fil-A... I've never had a Chick-fil-A, and I never will. I'm not an LGBT guy, but, I don't support hate, especially when it's financial. I don't support it in any way. I don't care. So, anyway, moving on up to 1926, we have Francois Morel, a Canadian pianist, composer, conductor, and educator. Muffin, why don't you take 32 here?
Okay. 1932. We got Nania Yeltsina, a Russian wife of Boris Yeltsin and former First Lady of Russia.
1933, we have Michael Caine, an English actor and author. That name is familiar. Curse my not caringness for celebrities as such. All I do is remember names sometimes. Google, why are you being a laggy piece of crap?
Ate too much muffins.
Let's see here. Michael Caine. Oh, he's in Batman Begins. The Dark Knight. Okay, so he was the guy who made those. Interesting. Or he was in... Oh, it's Alfred! That's who he is. So that's Alfred, okay. 1933, Quincy Jones was born today. He was a U.S. singer, songwriter, trumpet player, and producer. And this name is also familiar, so I gotta look that up too. Quincy Jones. He was involved with the color purple. which I have yet to see that movie. What a surprise. Uh, what a surprise. AO hasn't seen a movie. I'm an uncultured piece of crap. Who else was born today? Whoever. Somebody. 1938.
1938, Jan Crouch, U.S. televangelist and co-founder of Trinity Broadcast Network.
Televangelism is the use of media, specifically radio and television, to communicate Christianity. Televangelists are ministers, whether official or self-proclaimed, who devote a large portion of their ministry to television broadcasting. Okay, so that's what it is. 1943, Anita Morris, a U.S. actress and singer. But what did she need more of? Anita Moore? What? I don't know. I mean, my stupid humor. 1945?
1945, we got Jasper Carrot, English comedian, actor, and game show host. First Strawberry, now Carrot. What's next? Cabbage.
Yeah, we were talking about a baseball player like yesterday or the other day. His last name was Strawberry, and now there's this guy named Carrot. So, what's next? Are we going to find some guy with his last name is Cabbage, or asparagus, or Jimmy Brussels sprouts? Like what?
People name with last names of foods.
I know, right? Moving on up to 1948, we have Billy Crystal was born, U.S. actor, director, producer, and screenwriter. And once again, this name is familiar, so let me look this guy up. The Princess Bride. Okay. Oh, this guy. Who was he? Let me look him up. Was he? Hold on a second. Princess Bride. Yeah, okay, I thought he was. He was like the weird guy, mostly dead. Okay. 1950, Muffin?
Sure. So Rick Dees, a U.S. actor and radio host. Rick Dees nuts.
Dick D's
I just want to say that. Rick Dees nuts. Yeah.
365 days later, in 1951, Jerry Greenfield was born. He is a U.S. businessman and philanthropist who co-founded the overpriced and liberal left-leaning Ben & Jerry's. That's right.
Boycott their ass. Yeah.
Yep, boycott them. Muffin?
Sure. So, 1956, Alexei Pajitonov, whatever his last name is, a Russian video game designer and computer engineer who created Tetris.
Yeah, Tetris was actually it was a Soviet experiment on AI, artificial intelligence, and then it just evolved into a game. But that's why, it always seems like it never gives you the piece that you need, because it knows it's an AI. So it reads the screen, see what you have, and it tries to screw you up. It gives you pieces that are not going to be helpful. And actually, go to YouTube and search "College Humor Tetris God." It's a pretty funny video. Anyway, going on up to 1961, Mike Lazaridis, a Greek-Canadian businessman and philanthropist who founded BlackBerry Limited. I have the muffin mouth. What the hell?
Yeah, muffin mouth.
Muffin mouth.
Anyways, 4 years later, in 1965, we got Kevin Williamson, U.S. actor, director, and producer and screenwriter. Holy shit, that's a mouthful.
Yeah. 1 year later, 1966, Jonas Elmer was born. He's a Danish actor, director, and screenwriter, and that makes me wonder who invented Elmer's glue. Gail Burden Jr. Okay. All right. 1968, we have Megan Follows, a Canadian-U.S. actress. Wonder if she follows the script,
Yeah. We got 1969, we got Larry Johnson, a U.S. basketball player.
That name is familiar. Larry Jolson.
Familiar.
I'm gonna have to ask the dad person to, because like I don't know anything about basketball really, but he would probably know this name if anybody in my personal circle of communication. 4 years later, in 1973, we have Tohet Shetty, an Indian film director and producer. I hope his films aren't his last name, but if he's anything involved in Bollywood movies are bananas. So, actually, I haven't seen a Bollywood clip in a while, so I gotta check that out. Who was born today in 1978?
Peter Van Den Hoonaband, Dutch swimmer. What an interesting last name.
Yeah. Hugenband.
Hugenband.
And then, speaking of interesting last names, 1986, we have Elton Chigumbura, a Zimbabwean cricketer. Chigumbura. That sounds like the noise a car would make.
Chigumbura.
It's like
sounds like a part of a whopping startup. Chicka Bunga.
Well, I mean, like, that movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? That's what it sounds like, Chigumbura. It sounds like a car backfiring or something. Anyway, moving on to the deaths today. 840, Einhard, a Frankish scholar.
In 1555, all five except for one, John Russell, the first Earl of Bedford.
Yep. Jumping on up 305 years in 1860, Carl Ritter von Gege, an Italian engineer who designed the Semmering railway. Muffin mouth again. Pretty cool railway. Oh, it looks like you got this. You got a big name here, Muffin.
In 83. In 1883, Karl Marx.
Yep.
German philosopher, theorist, and inhuman bastard who invented communism.
Yeah, he's the guy who wrote the Communist Manifesto. Marxism.
Oh,
that's
God.
him. Karl Marx.
Inhuman bastard.
Yep.
That's hot.
1921, Bernard Ryan, a murdered Irish Republican.
In 1923, my bad, Charles Daly, murdered Irish Republican.
Yep, both of them. Going from 23 to 32, we have George Eastman, a U.S. inventor and businessman who founded Eastman Kodak. Now, is that the Kodak camera?
Yeah, I was figuring that out too. The Kodak films.
It is.
Ah, shit.
Yep.
That was cool.
Yep.
Anyways, there's a big jump right here. In 2008, we got Cheria Lupich. Yeah, Lupich. Okay. Italian activist who co-founded the Focolare movement. What is that?
The Focolare movement is an international organization that promotes the ideals of unity and universal brotherhood. I like the sound of this. I'm going to have to look into this personally because me being an omnist and just an all-around... Yeah, well, Lubich is...
Bitch. I'm sorry. It's so bad.
2 years later, in 2010, Peter Graves died today. He was a U.S. actor, and unfortunately, his name is very fitting for now. So ever since then, 12 years ago. Oh, God.
Oh, Lord. In 2012, we got Pierre. You guys short. Can't.
Come on, enunciate. Just break it
names,
apart.
Dude.
Just break it apart. Say it in sections.
Sortion
Schuendorfer. Schuendorfer.
Sure. Whatever his French names are, man, these These are too complicated. Anyway, it's a French director and screenwriter.
Bless you. Schulfendorfer! And then last but certainly not least, by any stretch, 2018, Stephen Hawking. English physicist and author, which is really weird because back in like, what was it, 18 something, like Albert Einstein was born, and then Stephen Hawking died, same date. So like it makes me feel like if it's the opening and closing of an entire chapter of technological ascendancy, so, or science, which is wild. Anyway, that concludes the show. Once again, check the underbar for any links you may be interested in, which also include...
on this day in history.
Yeah, well, Sohen is...
Okay.
I think he's still AFK. But Sohen's Twitch, go check it out. He streams games every now and then. And everything OMNI Coalition. For your dose of Passive Events Daily, I am Xander. That's Lunk over there. And this guy is...
the Muffin Man.
Yep. I know the Muffin Man. Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man! Anyway, for your dose of Passive Events Daily, we now stream every day at 3 p.m. Pacific Time. We moved it a bit for reasons, which is also 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Mountain. I don't know, whatever. Time zones. You know, there's more than 24 time zones on the planet, even though there's only 24 hours. Anyway, don't forget to look right, left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe until you see us tomorrow. Toodles! Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Byron.